Hello and welcome. My name is Lexi Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury beauty. Today we are discussing the new Chanel Reve de Camelia highlighter. This is made in Italy. It has an 18-month shelf life and it has 10 grams of product. I've used this several times already now. You can see that from swatching, I kind of mess up this petal a little bit, but even going in with firmer brushes like the kabuki brush it comes with and so forth, it doesn't really mess up the image quite a while. So this image will remain longer than the lenticular images in the most recent Pêche Cosmique, and I think it was Corail Étoile. So just something to note, you can see you've got the raised camellia flower embossing. It's really pretty. So I think, this is really nice, and this is a really beautiful product, but it's $80. So, is it going to be worth it? That's going to be a completely personal decision, but I'm going to do my best to kind of go through what how I think it performs today, and we'll look at some comparisons. So first of all, let's start off with how it comes. It comes with the traditional Chanel packaging with the little velour case. So it comes in here, and it comes in a color-coded box. So this is the box that it comes in. And, I ordered mine from Jelissa and Paloma at the Aventura Boutique. I'll leave their information down below. And they pack some very nice, like not gift with purchase, samples and so forth in with my box. So always a great way to get extra samples is to go through an essay versus ordering online. But it is available online at the moment as well. And this highlighter has been out for a while in other countries, but the US, we just got it. So along with this, we also get this cute little kabuki brush. This is synthetic, and you can see that it is a fairly dense brush, and it's very soft. Honestly, typically these special highlighters that Chanel does, they usually retail for $70 US. They don't come with a brush this cute. So for the extra $10, I would pay $10 for this brush. So I don't think the price difference, it does not bother me. But I think it's a really cute brush. If you're going to use this brush though, I would only recommend this for highlight if you're doing something like what I did today to make more of a highlighting blush, where you put it on as a base to kind of buff that highlighter in, or if you want like a larger highlighted area. For traditional highlighting applications, I still prefer using a smaller brush. So I think it's a really great brush. And if you get the highlighter and you don't want to use it that way for highlight, this also works really well with powders, blush in general. So blush, face powders, things like that. I think this is a really cute brush regardless. So I'm going to cut to a few demos now so you can kind of see how this highlighter applies as a more traditional highlight, on top of blush or above the blush. And then also today's application where we have it more buffed in, and we're going to take a look at whether or not it emphasizes texture. And I'd love to know what your thoughts are. All right, so we are going to test this out in a couple ways. So first of all, take a look at my skin. We're going to put this kind of all over the cheek area to see if it's emphasizing any texture or anything on my skin. We're going to actually do that on this side because this side has a little bit more texture naturally. So I'm taking the highlighter. This is the La Bouche Rouge highlighting brush. You can see it's more of a stippling style. So I have no blush on. Let's see how this goes. All right, so you can definitely see the sheen, that peachy sheen. What do you think? Does it emphasize the texture? Let me show you from distance. So here it is from a distance. I don't really think it highlights my texture personally. Let's bring it in again. So, I think any highlighter on top of texture, when the light hits it a certain way, yeah, you're going to see a little bit more, but does it emphasize it? I don't really think so. So let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is it. You can see the color kind of on the cheek. It's kind of this like peachy champagne, and I think it's a really beautiful shade. Now I'm going to take a fan brush. This is the Omnia Gold fan brush, just so you can see, if you are applying just a little bit, how much goes on. So you can see there how subtle that can actually be. You can barely see it actually. get a little bit more. So I can see it go on. I can see the line here, but it blends in so well with my skin tone in general that it's going to be pretty subtle. But you can see that even with something like lighter and fluffier, you can still get the color, or you can go in with something more dense like this. And last, I wanted to try out the kabuki. So we're going to do that on this side here. And this is going to be a dense brush. You can see it picks up the product pretty easily. Let's do that one more time so you can see. See all that product on there? Just going to knock off some of that excess. You can kind of pounce that on, or you can buff it in. This is a light enough shade that you can actually buff this in, and it's going to look really nice as a base for blush as well. So we're going to do that in a second, but take a look at this. You can see how much brighter it is on this side versus this side. Now, I do think maybe if you put it on with this kabuki brush, that might emphasize the texture. So let's see. Yeah, I feel like if you put on that much, you're going to see the texture more. You know, I think that's kind of just what a highlighter is going to do though. All right, so here it is. You can see it again up close. Let me show you this from a distance. So I still wouldn't go as far as saying that the highlighter is emphasizing texture. I think it's doing what a highlighter needs to do when the light hits it a certain way. Yes, you might see certain things more than others, but overall, I think it looks really pretty. Let's add some blush. I'm going to add the Chanel in 99 Rose Petal, and I'm going to use this brush again. Just going to get a little bit of that off. We're going to put this right on top here so you can kind of see how it blends. And I specifically went with a blush that does not have shimmer in it. You can see how those play together. It gives you a really nice glow. All right, so that's it. And I have to say, I kind of like it. I did add a little bit of bronzer here. It kind of got a little mixed into the shimmer, a little bit too much on the side, but yeah, I like using it as a base. I like using it as a separate highlighter. I think it's a nice highlighter. So I hope that was helpful. Overall, I have to say I am enjoying this highlighter. I think it's a really nice highlighter. It's a pretty neutral, subtle color for my skin tone, and I think the performance of it is very nice. It's, you know, not one that's so firm in the pan that it's hard to pick up, but yet it's not a powdery one either where you end up getting too much on your brush. So let's take a look at some swatches and some comparisons here. And as for the texture issue, as I mentioned during the demo, I just don't really think it emphasizes texture too much. There is a radiance, you know, it's a sheen. It's a little bit of a metallic sheen. Is it glittery? No. I mean, there are, you know, light reflecting properties to it that, you know, have a little bit of a shimmer, but I wouldn't say it's glittery. I don't see any chunks or anything. It's pretty smooth. And let's start off with some of the Chanel highlights. So this one here is the Pearl de Lumiere, and this is a similar formula. So this one feels pretty similarly to the new Camelia highlighter. You can see that this one here though is going to be deeper. It's also got a little bit more of this like golden bronze look to it. In addition, one of my favorites like ever is the Chanel Metal Peach. This has a similar texture, but it's not going to be the same. This one actually has a little bit of a slightly creamier texture, but it's also firmer in the pan. So, you know, it's a slightly different product in general, but you can see that this is going to be peachier and a little bit deeper, but yet it's a little bit brighter, not quite as nude as the Pearl de Lumiere. This was from a few years ago. This is a really powdery one. So this one I typically use more as a blush. This is the Eclat du Désert, and it's going to have more of a rosy look. It does not swatch very well. Making a mess. And this is technically a blush. This is the Blush Lumiere in Peche Rosé that came out, but I just wanted to kind of show you the color of this. This is going to be peachier, but you know, it's just a nice color. We also have the Pêche Cosmique, and I love using this underneath blush. It's technically a blush, but it has a sheen, and it's going to be a soft peach. So let me re-swatch the new one here before we move on. Okay, so here is the Camellia highlighters. You can see those side by side, and you can see the difference between them. So the Pêche Cosmique is going to be lighter. There's a little bit, you know, probably about the same amount of peach, but it's a little bit of a brighter peach. It's lighter in coloration, it's not as metallic. There is a more of a soft shimmer to it, but it doesn't have that more metallic sheen essentially. Now, I also wanted to take a look at the Chantecaille. This is the Les Paillettes, and we're going to look at this like pink shade here. And this is it. It's going to be more of a softer pink, but you can see that the finish is going to be pretty similar. I actually feel like on the skin, if you go in with a dense brush with this, this has a little bit more of a sheen. It's a higher sheen finish. This here is the Cle de Peau, a Glow with Wonder highlighter that was hard to get this winter. This was part of the holiday collection. And this shade here, I mean, you can see that the Camellia is going to be a little bit, it's a little bit more of a truer peach. You know, it's a little bit peachier versus this one, which has a little bit more of like this reddish brown shade mixed in and so forth. But I feel like they are a little bit similar in coloration. It's kind of the first thing the Camellia highlighter reminded me of on my cheeks. However, finish wise, you can see that this Cle de Peau is going to be more subtle. It's actually more similar to the finish of the Pêche Cosmique, whereas the Chanel Camellia is going to be a little bit more metallic. And then this one's going to be a little bit more pink, but this is the Givenchy in #1 Shimmery Pink. But I chose this one because it's kind of like one of those warmer pinks. And you can see the difference here between the two of those. Okay, this is the Champagne Gold from Pat McGrath. This swatches very differently than it is on the skin, but if you kind of buff that in, you can see this color here. And last up, we have the Guerlain Meteorites Pearl Dust palette. Let's take a look at this peach shade, Pearly Amber here. This is going to be deeper. So here's Pearly Amber. You can see it's going to be much more peach. And then here is Pearly Pink. Just go right below that. And you can see that the Chanel is almost a cross between the two of those. So let's mix those. So here's a mix of them. And we're going to put that right here. So you can see how close that actually is. I mean, you still have more of that peachy shade, but I feel like the mix is pretty close. Finish-wise on the skin, I feel like the Guerlain Meteorites, it's pretty similar. You can get probably a little bit more sheen from this. This is a little bit of a softer formula, so it's a little bit easier to kind of pile it on. But I think in general, with a typical application, you're getting pretty similar light reflecting qualities. So overall, I have to say that the Chanel highlighter, the Camellia highlighter, I think is a really beautiful highlighter. You know, it is an $80 highlighter, so you might have something similar in your collection already. But if you love the actual Camellia design, it's definitely one not to miss. I like how it is raised. So, you know, it's going to kind of keep that image and that shape a little bit longer. And I really love the kabuki brush with it. Is the highlighter something that is completely different from other highlighters? No, but it's a really beautiful highlighter and it has a nice shade. So I think, you know, that's kind of what you're looking for here. It's not, you know, the formula and everything is nothing like unique or anything like that. But I think if you're looking for a really beautiful, subtle highlighter that you can use or something that you can use as a base, I think this is a really good option, and I really like the kabuki brush with it. So I think overall, I really do appreciate this highlighter. So let me know what you guys think. Did you pick this up? Are you planning on it? It is limited edition and there are not large quantities of it. It was just released in the US, but it has been out for a few weeks in other countries. So if it is something that you are interested in, don't wait around too long because it will be hard to find. And overall, I think it's a really nice product. So thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I will leave Jelissa and Paloma's information down below in the description box, as well as links to the highlighter. And I will see you very soon. So have a great day and stay safe and healthy.